Oh yeah. Eh. Mm. So as we have begun shortly last week on the chapter of the taking refuge, etc. So taking refuge starts from having faith. So you take refuge. Taking refuge means to seek help or support from someone, and you will ask for refuge. You will ask for help from someone whom you trust. If you do not trust the person, then you will not be asking that person to help you or to support you. So here we are talking about support, not just for the good things in this life alone, but for many, many more lives to come, and ultimately to become fully enlightened Buddha, to be free from samsaric misery, to be free from samsaric misery forever, never to suffer. So for such an important decision, you need to take confidence, or you need to trust, you need to have faith in something or someone that is reliable. So in the Buddha Dharma, our object of trust is called the triple gem, the three jewels, the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. So why these are important, why the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha is important, why the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha is our only refuge, will be explained later. But in order to, first we will talk about why taking refuge is important. And in order to have a proper refuge, why faith is important, so on and so forth. So as I said, so having faith means having trust. So when you have no trust in someone, then you will not be able to, if you do not trust that person, then you will not make him or her, make them handle important things regarding your life. So that's in everyday life, in day-to-day life. You will trust someone with your important belongings or whatnot. If you trust that person, then you will let them handle it. But if you do not trust that person, then you will not let them take care of your things. So for that reason, having faith, in order to have proper refuge, it's utmost important to take refuge. In order to take refuge, it's utmost important to have faith. So according to Buddha Dharma, having faith, or faith, is in three forms. So when we say faith here, we are talking faith in the sense of Dharma Buddhist practice. Of course, there are many different types of faith in general, but here we are talking about faith as in having faith towards the to the object of refuge in a spiritual practice, in the Dharma practice. Okay, so in that sort of setting, in that sort of understanding, there are three types of faiths. So which is known as the vivid faith or clear faith, and then the eager faith, faith of eagerness, and then the confident faith. So the first one is called the the vivid faith. And the vivid faith is to have a vivid sense of rejoicing and vivid sense of appreciation, sort of also inspiring moment for us. When we go to temples, when we go to temple and see different images of the Buddhas and the Bodhisattvas, different masters of the past. So and also when we read the biographies of different great masters who worked so hard, such as to get the Buddha Dharma from India, to translate into Tibetan or to Vietnamese or into Chinese or in your own local language. So in order to do that, you have to travel so far. And unlike today's time, traveling is not easy. Even today's time, traveling is not that easy, but at that time, it's 10 times harder. And then you have to learn a new language altogether, etc., etc. So being inspired, being motivated, being rejoicing in the magnificent work that the masters have created. So because without those great masters who practiced them, who learned them, who translated them into local languages, what the Dharma will be not accessible to us. So like those great masters and the Bodhisattvas who worked so hard, you know, there are many different stories of different Bodhisattvas. For example, in Buddha's own lifetime, a lifeline, the Siddhartha Gautama, he became the Buddha, but before there were usually what we call the 500 pure lives and the 500 impure lives of the Buddha. After becoming a bodhisattva, after generating bodhicitta, for the Siddhartha Gautama in his previous lives was being born as influential people, such as human beings, or within the human realm as kings, as sons of merchants, etc., in a higher social strata. And then these are called the pure lives of the Buddha. So there he had 500 lives even after becoming a bodhisattva, the Buddha, before Siddhartha Gautama, before he became a Buddha, he has had, of course, we have innumerable lives in the past, right? But after generating bodhicitta, then one's lifetimes are sort of counted. So after taking the bodhicitta, after generating bodhicitta, Siddhartha Gautama has had 1,000 lives. So 500 as pure lives, 500 as impure lives, we call that. So the impure lives were being born as an animal, being born as a snake, or being born as a rabbit, etc. And within a human life, one will be born as a very poor person, etc. But whether the bodhisattvas are born in the impure lives or in the pure lives, in the human lives or in non-human lives, in the animal lives, or in the and many times he was born in the hell realm also. So in whichever you were, in whichever realm or lives you were born into, you still take care of people, because as a bodhisattva, you have dedicated for the service of others. You are devoted to practice of Dharma and to in the servitude of the sentient beings, to serve the sentient beings in order to become the Buddha. Serving sentient beings in order to become the Buddha, becoming Buddha in order to serve sentient beings. So these are interchangeable for the bodhisattvas. For other beings, you help others because you want to achieve something, you want to become Buddha or whatever. But for bodhisattvas, the reason they're helping others is to become Buddha. The reason they want to become a Buddha is also to serve other sentient beings. So basically, when we reflect on the lives of the bodhisattvas, lives of the great masters, lives of different great great sentient beings who sacrifice themselves greatly to a great extent in order to serve other beings, then we feel some sort of inspiration. So that inspirational faith is called the vivid faith. So you are totally inspired. There is some sort of a vivid sense of inspiration. There's a vivid sense of rejoice, vivid sense of excitement after seeing, after hearing, after witnessing the events that took place, thanks to those individuals. So that's called the vivid faith. Usually when we go to temples, when we read the biographies, we generate the vivid faith towards the Buddha, Dharma, Sangha, etc. Oh yeah, so that is the vivid faith. And the next is eager faith. So they're kind of similar. So eager faith is the eagerness, the excite. So you are with the vivid faith, you have that excitement. No, and from that excitement comes the eagerness to do something, right? When we hear the great stories of the great masters, we were eager to follow in their footsteps. When we read about the uh, suffering, the misery in samsara, the suffering and misery in the lower realms and in samsara overall, we are eager. We are so eager to get out of samsara. When we hear the good things, we are so eager to get those good things. When we hear the bad things, we are so eager to get out of those bad things, get rid of those bad things. So basically, that eagerness, in the eagerness to reach nirvana, the eagerness to reach the ultimate attainment of Buddhahood, the eagerness to get rid of all the negative emotions, afflictive emotions within us. So that is called, that is the the faith of eagerness, or eager faith. So you are, because you have so much faith and trust in something, that object, whether it is that text, so for example, you read a text, you read a book, you read a text on the suffering of samsara, suffering of hell realm, then you read it all, and then you have really strong faith, strong belief in the fact that the suffering in hell realm is unbearable, and that really kind of moves you, motivates you to get out of samsara, or get out of hell realm, to never to be born in hell realm. And that sort of motivation, that sort of eagerness, so having faith in something, and having faith in something, and that faith motivating you to make you eager to do something about it, whether to get out of it or to get into it. So if it is a positive thing, get into it. If it's a negative thing, get out of it. So that sort of eagerness, that sort of uh, uh, sort of motivating factor is called the eager faith. So this comes after you have a vivid faith. Sort of, with vivid faith comes the eager faith. So that is eager faith. And the next is the confident faith. Now that you are, you have faith in something or someone. So you have faith in something. And then once you once you started to grow faith in something, then, just because you have faith in something, that doesn't mean that it's the truth, right? Just because you believe in someone doesn't mean that person is saying the truth thing. Belief is something that comes from your side. Truth is something that is from the objective side. So just because you believe in something doesn't mean it's true. So confident faith is, first you have faith, or you have trust or believe in something. And then, as your belief or as your trust started to grow, you may want to, you may start to question, and you may start to investigate further into the things that you trust, the things that you have faith in, that you believe in. Not the things that you trust, the things that you believe. So in the beginning, you started to like something. You have some sort of affinity towards something, right? And then as you like that thing or that person, you started to believe more and more into that person or that thing. And then as time passes along, then you may want to know a little bit deeper about the thing that you like, about the things that you believe in. So that's a thing that happens to a lot of us, whether it's in a religious setting or in a familial setting, in a family, in a religious, in a societal setting as well. When you grow up, you grow up thinking that when you grow up as kids, you were told that to behave well, to believe, to don't tell lies, to behave well, don't cheat on others. All these things were told. But as you grow up in the society, then you see people are cheating, a lot of people cheating, a lot of people doing bad things, and all those influences are all there. Then you started to question so let's say the advices or uh, usually when you are reaching the teenage years, you start to revolt because what your parents told you and what you see in the outside world doesn't seem to match. So there is that mismatch, which which creates a tension within you. So your belief saying this is it, your belief in the society taking you to the right side, and seeing the things in the society and you takes you to the left side, and then you are pulled between this left and right thing, and then that creates a lot of tension, and that's why teenagers usually have a lot of um, um, anger issues, especially in today's time where teenagers can be more expressive. In the olden times, uh, maybe that's not possible, and especially in today's time with social media, etc., you can express what you feel. So you were told as a kid, you start to believe that the world is very beautiful, and then as you grow up a little bit as a teenager, you started to see a lot of things that your parents told you were not as you believe it to be, and then you started to grow. You started to become more and more upset, and then you started to, up until now, everything has been taken care of by your parents. But then as you come into your teenage years, then you have to take care of things on your own, a lot of them. And then you started to find a mismatch, a tension, something that doesn't. So basically, when those things happen, you started to question a lot of things. So in the beginning, you believe, right? One example would be Santa Claus, right? As a kid, you would believe there's a Santa Claus, putting. If you are from that sort of background, you will you know that as a Santa Claus, you believe in Santa Claus giving you gifts, all these things. But then as you grow older, maybe not an adult, but as a teenager, you started to question the existence of Santa Claus, right? So that questioning something that you believe is very common. So all in all, and another thing, as I said, in a religious setting, and another thing in the religious setting, when we were like people from most of us in Asia, from Tibet, from Vietnam, we were all we grow up in a religious setting. Like most of us are Buddhist. So as a Buddhist, when we when we were very small, our parents tell us to pray to the Buddha, go to the temple, etc., etc., and we do that. But as we started to grow a little older, as teenager, we can go a little bit more older. We start to question why is there a Buddha? Is there a such thing as a Buddha? Is the why would praying to the Buddha would help, etc. So this happens in not just in of course not just in Asian cultures, but in everywhere, in every culture, whatever religious setting that you may have brought up in. As you grow older, you start to question a lot of things. So believing something and having you know um, having believing something and the actual reality of what you believe in uh, doesn't really have to match. They may not necessarily have to be true. Just because I believe uh, that just because I believe that this is something, just because I believe that mm, something is happening doesn't mean it's really happening, right? Just because I believe it's cold doesn't mean it's cold, doesn't really have to be cold. I can believe it is cold and I can meditate on being cold and I can feel shivering in my body, but it doesn't mean that it's really cold outside, out there. So basically, confident faith is believing in something, but then finding truth in the things that you believe. Okay, so confident faith means finding the truth in the objects that you believe. That is what confident faith is. So you have faith because you grow up. Most of us grow up in a religious setting or religious sort of background, a religious culture with we all have some sort of a altar in our homes. Our parents tell us to go to the temple once a year or once a month, or then so we have that sort of religious background history, uh, but as then we don't know much more than that. But when we have the leisure to study, and then we study and we find the truth about the three jewels, or the Buddha, the Bodhisattvas, and all these, the stories that aforementioned, as I said, the stories that I've told earlier, like Milarepa, Marpa, and all these grandmasters, and many, many, many more. Then you find the truth, right? So you find truth in the things that you believe, and your faith becomes stronger, much more stronger. Okay, and that's called confident faith. So basically, finding truth in the things that you believe, right? Just because you believe something doesn't mean it's true. But when you find the truth about the things that you believe, and when you find that what you believe to be true is actually the truth, then your faith grows. Your faith is fortified. Your faith is becomes stronger, strong, stable. So that is called the confident faith. So in this sense, faith is the one of the most important part of the Dharma practice. So one line here says from Padmasambhava, Guru Rinpoche, that the faith of total trust, which means confident faith, the faith of total trust allows blessings to enter you. When the mind is free of doubt, whatever you wish can be achieved. So if you ask most of the great achievers in the world, in today's world, right? I'm not talking in a spiritual sense. I'm talking about people who are considered successful in business, successful in adventure, successful in political life, or in any field. Any successful people, you ask them, what's the secret of yours? What's the secret? I mean, of course, they will describe it something different. But the main point, you will find that they all have trust. They are all confident that they can do it. They have faith. Basically, they never lose faith. Of course, they may lose faith here and there, but there is a consistency of faith. Today you lose faith, but tomorrow you keep it up. And day after tomorrow you may lose it, but that next day you still keep it up. So on a yearly basis, on a monthly basis, there is, there is that spectrum of faith. So that consistency is there, and that is what actually makes them successful. So the same can be applied in the Dharma practice, right? So faith of total, so again, I will repeat the line from Master Padmasambhava, the faith of total trust allows blessings to enter you, because when the mind is free of doubt, whatever you wish can be achieved. So those who we consider successful people in the world, anyone, they triumphed. They were victorious. They were able to become successful because they were free of doubt that they cannot do it. So when your mind is free of doubt that you cannot achieve Buddhahood, that you can achieve Buddhahood. If you keep doubting that you can or cannot achieve Buddhahood, as long as you keep doubting, doubt is important in the initial stage, okay? Doubt is important in the initial stage. In the beginning, you have to doubt whether this is true or not. I have to know whether this is poison or not poison. I have to know that. But once I know that this is not poison, I must drink it. Otherwise, if I keep doubting whether this is a poison or not, then I will never be able to drink this. And because I know this is not a poison, I'm going to drink it. Oh yeah. So then again, from the sutra, from the Buddha's sutra, there is another line which is attributed to the faith. Okay, so it goes like this: in those who lack faith, nothing positive will grow. Just as from a burned seed, no green shoot will ever sprout. So then again, we usually talk about the 7 noble qualities, 7 noble riches. And out of the 7 noble riches or qualities, faith is one of the most important. Faith is the most important of all. It begins with faith. The 7 qualities or 7 riches of a noble being starts with faith. So those who do not have faith will not be able to grow in their spiritual practices, no matter how much they recite the mantra, no matter how much meditation they do. They can do all of that. They might get some sense of like relief, some sense of peace of mind, but there will be no progress, right? Of course, even if you have no faith in the Buddha Dhamma Sangha, if you have nothing, you can still meditate and bring peace in your life. That is achievable. But that peace, or there will be no spiritual progress. There will be no mental progress, no matter how much you meditate for, if you meditate for 40, 30 years. If you do not have faith, then your spiritual practice, your spiritual journey will never progress, never go further. So when I say faith, I'm not talking about, this is not like brainwashing people or indoctrinating people, okay? This is very important. So we use the term faith, but we are not talking about blind faith, okay? So as I said earlier, you have faith towards something that you have, you believe in. You believe in something that you like. That is natural, In the beginning, you start to like a fruit. You'd like the taste of that fruit. You keep eating that fruit. You like that fruit, and then you believe in that fruit. The taste of that fruit you like, and you believe. And then later, some doctors said, "Oh, that fruit is actually very poisonous, especially for someone like you, because of your skin, because of your, body factor, etc." And then, from then onwards, you started to not like the fruit, because even though the fruit tastes good, it actually has properties that is impure. It affects your health. And then gradually you started to dislike the fruit. And then you started to dislike the taste even. So that happens to a lot of us. One example would be sugar. When we were young kids, we love candies and we love sugar a lot. Anything sugary, we love it. And as we grow older, we started to learn the effects of sugar. And then if sugar is already added in the thing, then that's a different matter. But otherwise, you do not want to add sugar into anything. When you buy a product, you have to check the sugar level of that product. You keep doing that thing. So basically, what you believe, you like something, then you believe in something, then you find the actual truth about the things that you believe, and then you make the final decision of whether you should keep on believing in or not. So the example would be, I like sugar, I eat sugar, then I find out negative things about sugar, then I stop eating sugar, I start to dislike sugar, right? Well, try to maintain. So sugar in this case would be our negative actions. So when you learn about our negative actions, then we start to distance from it. So we have faith in the effects, the afflictive nature. We have faith, we have belief. We started to grow belief and faith in the afflictive nature, the harmful nature of negative actions, and we started to distance from it. We started to like and believe and grow faith in the positive nature, the healing nature of the Dharma practice, of Buddha, of the Dharma, of the Sangha. And then we start to go more towards it, lean towards it more and more. Okay. So you believe in something good, you do more of that. You believe in something bad, and you do less of that, right? You believe there is a good thing, there's a bad thing. You believe this is good, and you do more of that. You believe this is bad, and you do less of that. So knowing and believing this good thing is good and that bad thing is bad. So knowing bad as bad, knowing good as good is the utmost importance. Of course, for this, you need to have wisdom, but that's a different topic. But here, from wisdom determines, makes the distinction of what is good and what is bad. And when, so something is objectively, things are, there is a good thing, there is the bad thing, then to decipher, then to make a distinction, to make that, to discriminate that this is good and that is bad, you need wisdom. But once you have wisdom, you have to apply faith, and so with wisdom, you know this is good, this is bad, okay? With faith, you have to believe that this good thing is good and bad thing is bad. Normally what happens is we know this is good, we know that is bad, but we started to believe that good thing is bad and also believe that bad thing is good. So that's where all the problems comes in. So that's why faith is important to, even with wisdom, you have wisdom, you still need the faith to, with wisdom, you just know the truth. But with faith, you believe that truth, the good, that with wisdom, you know the truth about something good or something bad. But with faith, you believe in the fact that good thing is good and bad thing is bad. Okay, so that's where faith becomes very important. So before I conclude, so the faith is one of the most important factors in the so this is the window, or the preparatorial, or sometimes we call the preliminary practice. And one of the most important one is faith. And so without faith, different qualities such as compassion, bodhicitta, understanding of emptiness, and understanding of the attaining the rainbow body, etc. All this will be not possible, no matter how long you practice. Okay, so it is also said that the results that you achieve in your spiritual journey depends on the fact, on the amount of faith that you have. If you have great faith, you will achieve great result in a great in a great speed, in a very short time. If you have less faith, then you will have less blessing, etc. Because as you remember, the Padmasambhava said, we just quoted him saying that the faith of total trust allows blessings to enter you. So faith is like that small, hole from where the light seeps in. So the bigger the hole, the more light comes in. The smaller the hole, the less light comes in. So faith is that thing that opening at the doorway. So when you open the door, the greater the opening, the greater the blessings and the qualities and the achievements, the attainments, spiritual attainments you will have, the lesser the faith, the qualities and the attainments that you will achieve will be much lesser. And once again, I have to remind you that we are talking about faith of reasoning, not just blind faith. Okay, so that is important. And so Buddha said, those of for all who think of him with faith, the Buddha is there in front of them and will give empowerments and blessings. So, and basically, if you have great faith, then you will achieve, you will attain the achievements. If you do not have them, then you will not. And one very good example would be in Buddha Shakyamuni. You know, he is the greatest of all the great teachers. And Buddha's time, we have the monk Sunakasatra, who is related to the Buddha but has no faith and is always trying to rival, compare with the Buddha. Then we have the most infamous Devadatta, again, who is always trying to compare with the Buddha. He became a monk because people respect the Buddha as a monk. So that's why he became a monk, in order to compete with the Buddha. When the Buddha is away, he tried to, create a faction to make a separate group and charge them against the Buddha's followers, the Sangha, etc. So anyway, with immense faith, one will have immense benefits. If no faith, then no benefit. As no spiritual benefit. Yeah, that's for sure. Okay, so that'll be all for today. Do you have a question? I will take one question.
Yes, we have one question in the chat. I'll read it right now. Straight to Rinpoche. Will you please teach us how to develop the faith from the depth of our hearts? Thank you, Rinpoche.
So faith is belief, right? So you believe in something if it works. If it doesn't work, you don't believe. You believe in this, we believe in this Zoom meeting because it works. We can communicate it in it. We believe in the car because it can drive. We can drive it and go to places. We believe in that. So once we know, once we know that it works, then we have belief. Our belief grows, and the better it works, the more belief we have, right? So that's how that's the fundament. That's the fundamentality of the faith. You believe in something that works. So in the beginning, of course, we don't know whether it will work or not. So we have to kind of it's coming back to what it all started. So in the beginning, we have to have. So let's put it this way. In the beginning, we have to have faith in something that to believe that it will work. And then as it started to get, get the things done, then our faith, our belief will grow. So I think that the question is how to grow faith from the depth of our heart. That means you already have some sort of faith already. So if you have no faith at all, then that's a different story. But if you have a small amount of faith already, then to bring it out from the depth of your heart, you need to see that it works. So basically, when we pray to the Buddha Dharma Sangha, when we do it the right way, when we do it selflessly, when we do it the proper way, then our prayers, our wishes, get answered, and then we receive blessings. So if it's kind of self-explanatory, because when you have proper faith in the Buddha Dharma Sangha and when you pray sincerely, then you will see the result. But in order to have a strong amount of faith, you need to first push in some sort of faith. So it's just like, any practice, I'm not saying in the Dharma practice, even like ordinary practice like artwork. First, you have to put in some effort to do that. You have to like that art, that profession, and then as you develop, as you keep doing it more and more, then your efficiency in that work will grow. So similarly, first you have to put in effort to have faith. And once you have faith, then as you keep working with your faith, then you will see that it works. When you see that it functions, when you see the results, then your faith will grow more and more. And then usually to grow faith, one thing that our masters would suggest is to read biographies of great masters, namtar. So we don't call the biographies of the masters, we don't call them biographies, we don't call them stories, we call them liberating liberating aspect. That's the name, namtar. In Tibetan we call it namtar, which means liberating aspect. We don't call them biographies, we don't call them stories, we don't call them history, anything. We call them liberating aspect. Basically what it means is, when we read the story, the biographies of great masters, how hard they work and what they did and all these achievements, then it liberates us in even slightly in whatever position, in whatever situation that we are in right now. And in the long run, of course, it plants the seed of Buddhahood, liberation, of the ultimate liberation. So for that reason, the reading the books, reading life stories on past masters is a great asset. Then this, so in today's time, we read a lot of books on, about, when we read when a book written by a famous person, successful person comes out, everybody tries to read it, grab it, because they are trying to get something out of it. When they read about how someone was able to climb the Mount Everest, when someone is able to conquer fight famine in Africa. So when we read those stories, it's very uplifting. It's of course, there is the sad part. It begins with a sad part, and then as it goes on, it lifts us up, and it teaches us a lot of things. It motivates us, right? And so similarly, when we read the stories of great masters, our faith will grow. Oh yeah, to the chair. Thank you so much. Now to the dedication. Gewan de nyurdon dan lama sangen drupgyuron chowa che kyang ma lu ban te ye sa lang ge bara sho chanjo semjo rembo ma ye ba na ma nge gyuron je ge ba nya